Welcome to the future of factory automation.
This program is a broadcast of a Japanese podcast that has been translated into English using Notebook LM.
So we just got back from SPS 2024 over in Germany, Smart Production Solutions.
Yeah, it's really the event if you're into controlled tech, industrial automation. Big one.
And we actually went on our own dime this year, a personal trip, which is great because we can really, get into what we saw without any filters.
Exactly. And it's huge. I mean, 14 halls, just packed with booths, all the major players showing their latest automation devices.
It's a real deep dive into where things are going.
Definitely.
And it's important, I think, to differentiate it from something like Hannover Messe. Hannover is broader, right? Bearings, linear guides, all that mechanical stuff.
Right. SPS really, it zeroes in more on the control systems, the devices, up to the actuators, basically.
Yeah, the brains and the immediate muscles. So our focus, well, we were really looking at IP67 devices, virtual PLCs.
And some stuff related to contracts, though maybe less detail on that today.
Right. So we thought we'd just share the things that really, stood out to us as interesting, maybe impactful.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Okay, let's kick things off with IO link safety. We were both pretty keen to see what was happening there.
Yeah, that was high on my list, too. But honestly, fewer big announcements than I might have expected.
Really? Why do you think that was?
Well, the word was that the master controller development has hit some snags, some delays.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. If the masters aren't quite ready, the device makers might hold back a bit.
Exactly. So it feels like we're still sort of on the cusp, waiting for that broader rollout.
Did anyone have anything significant showing?
Pills did. They were actively showing IO-Link safety, which was good to see. They stood out.
Okay. So maybe more expected next year,
All right.
SPS 2025.
I think that's the feeling, yeah. Especially since some of the other key players, like Alf wasn't it? They weren't at Hanover earlier.
Right. SPS feels like a better fit for those control-focused announcements anyway.
Agreed. So next year could be interesting for IO-Link safety.
Okay. Let's move on to the IP stuff, IP67 devices.
Yeah, that was definitely a noticeable trend. Maybe not the single headline, but you saw it everywhere. A move towards higher IP ratings, more rugged gear.
And it's interesting how it's presented, isn't it? Not always like, look, IP67, but more. Foundational.
Exactly. It feels like manufacturers are just building things to be more robust as standard, capable of handling, different environments.
And the why seems clear. It's driven by applications moving outside clean factory floors, really.
Think about mobile robots, AMRs. They just need tougher gear by default.
Right. We saw Bosch, for example, showing IP67 servo amps.
Yeah, for their drive systems. And that kind of highlighted the two main ways people are doing this for servos.
Which are?
Well, you got the, let's say, traditional way. IP-rated motor, separate amplifier that might be lower rated, maybe in a cabinet.
Okay.
Or the integrated approach, motor and amp all in one sealed unit.
We saw quite a few of those integrated ones, didn't we?
Yeah, companies like R-Stall, AKM, JBL, Festo. Seems popular for lower power stuff, maybe up to 2 kilos or so.
Makes sense for things like robot arms, perhaps, more compact overall.
But then you have Bosch and Beckhoff with their MX system. They're focusing on making the amplifier really rugged high IP rating, but keeping the motor separate and potentially smaller.
Which brings up the space issue. Those integrated units, while neat, can be physically bigger.
Right. Might be tricky for traditional machines where every millimeter counts.
Especially, thinking about the Japanese market where space efficiency is such a huge deal.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to see the adoption curve there for these slightly bulkier integrated units.
Definitely something to watch. Okay, let's switch gears. Virtual PLCs. That felt like a really strong undercurrent this year. Lots of buzz.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the big names were talking about it, showing solutions. Phoenix Contact, for instance.
Who are they showing?
They're virtualizing PLC next, aiming for release around Hanover next year, they said.
Okay. And Siemens. Beckhoff.
Yep, Siemens is definitely in the game. Beckhoff is developing theirs too. But maybe the biggest news, arguably, came from Codesys.
Codesys? What was that?
A virtual safety PLC.
Wow, okay. So, stepping back, why the big push for virtual PLCs now?
Well, it really ties into broader IT trends, doesn't it? Like using Docker containers. The idea is to bring that kind of software flexibility and deployment method to the OT world, to control systems.
So you could potentially bundle your whole system software stack together.
That's the vision, yeah. Streamline development, deployment, maintenance, potentially big efficiency gains.
And that code assist virtual safety PLC, that sounds pretty groundbreaking.
It really is. As far as we can tell, Siemens, Phoenix, they don't have that yet, implementing safety functions purely in software.
What are the implications there?
Well, think about something like Mir Electronics' Vario X system. It could potentially run both standard logic and safety logic virtually.
So you're breaking that dependency on dedicated safety hardware controllers.
Potentially, yes. It opens up hardware choice. As long as the hardware works with codices and supports the virtual PLC standards, you could use it for safety. It decouples the software from specific safety hardware.
And presumably it supports the necessary safety protocols.
Oh, yeah. The talk was about support for things like CIP safety, FSOE over EtherCAT, ProFi Safe, the whole package.
It fits that multi-trend, doesn't it? Multi-protocol devices, and now maybe multi-protocol virtual safety PLCs.
Exactly. It's all about flexibility and interoperability, letting devices and controllers speak multiple languages.
And thinking bigger picture, virtual controllers, you could have different brands of PLC running as software on, say, one industrial PC or a server.
Maybe even the cloud, eventually. That's the direction things seem to be heading. Portability is key. Deploy the software where it makes sense.
We saw some newer companies getting into this too, right? Not just the established giants.
Yeah, a few, probably some venture-backed startups. Suggests more competition, more innovation coming down the pipe.
Which contrasts a bit with Japan, where virtual PLCs don't seem to be a big domestic development focus yet. Still very hardware tied.
That's the impression, yeah. It feels like a different philosophy, maybe more conservative about decoupling the PLC from dedicated hardware.
And the next step feels like integration with simulation, right? Test everything virtually first.
Absolutely. Simulate, test, validate in the cloud or on a server, then deploy without having to rewrite it for the physical hardware. That's the dream.
Of course, it's not trivial. Making it seamless, hiding the complexity of Docker and stuff, that's key for adoption.
For sure. It needs to be robust and relatively easy to use for engineers who aren't IT specialists.
So Europe seems quite keen, but maybe slower uptake expected in Japan.
Possibly. Familiarity with existing systems is strong, and adopting a whole new way of thinking takes time.
Okay. Shifting focus again. Any other interesting little things we spotted?
Well, minor point, but we had trouble finding that Etichet Project booth someone recommended.
Oh, yeah. Shows you need good maps or apps at these huge shows.
Definitely. Also, just the sheer number of safety exhibitors, laser scanners, radar sensors. Safety is clearly still a massive focus.
Always. Did you see that Bosch floating linear motor?
I did. Looked intriguing. Not grounded. Didn't get the full story, but it caught my eye.
Yeah, same. And then there was the Yaskawa announcement, a new controller based on Pils Tech.
Right, based on the P&OZ's Multi-Next. That was pretty significant.
So what's the deal there? Is it just a rebranded Pils controller?
Not quite. Our understanding is it integrates the core Pils PLC logic,
Okay.
but leaves out some things like the Docker support, the visualization runtime, but adds Yaskawa's motion control.
Ah, so it's a Yaskawa motion controller with a Pils safety standard PLC core.
Essentially, yeah. And notably, no Meterlink support mentioned.
Which makes sense for Europe, right? It's all EtherCAT there, pretty much.
Exactly. They're targeting the market. Strategically, it gives Yaskawa something they lacked, an integrated safety controller and HMI solution using a proven runtime.
So they can offer a more complete package now.
Right. The only potential hurdle might be the Pinot's Multi-Next programming environment. It's powerful, but some find it complex.
True. But it's a big step for Yaskawa and interesting for Japan, too, isn't it? Because it supports IEC 6113013 export.
That's right. Currently, the only Japanese domestic PLC that does, I believe, a good move towards standardization.
Also noticed, not many big robot companies there.
No, reinforces the control focus. Universal Robots had a stand, but not the big industrial robot arms makers, really.
So the takeaway is, if you're deep into control tech, SPS is the place to be.
Absolutely. Essential viewing, really.
And cost-wise, you mentioned around 150,000 yen if planned ahead?
Yeah, flights, hotel, doable. Good investment for staying current.
And you could potentially combine it with other shows like IFS if you time it right.
Good point.
Yeah.
See a lot in one trip. We saw the usual European giants,
Yeah.
but also Mitsubishi, Yaskawa, Omron, Keyence.
And Chinese companies too, like Innovent.
Yep, definitely a growing presence,
Yeah.
which ties into what we saw briefly in China.
Oh, yeah. What did you notice there?
Just steady progress in their automation tech. Seeing IO-Link mounters, IO-Link devices from Chinese brands now.
So they're catching up. Still behind Europe maybe, but moving forward.
That was the feeling. Definitely closing the gap, which has implications for European and Japanese manufacturers long term.
You also mentioned seeing better connectivity tech there.
Yeah, things like X-coded M12s, single-pair Ethernet starting to appear. Similar trends to SPS, just maybe adopted a bit later. It's becoming global,
Highlights the competitive pressure, doesn't it? Japanese firms need to keep innovating.
for sure. And underpinning all this, the importance of the digital backbone. 3D CAD, PLM systems.
Like Siemens Teamcenter.
Exactly, or Dassault systems. Those integrated platforms for managing the whole life cycle design, simulation, manufacturing, they're crucial for this digital transformation everyone's talking about. Siemens has a strong position there.
Okay, so wrapping up our SPS 2024 thoughts. The big themes really were IP67 robustness becoming standard and this huge momentum behind virtual PLCs.
Yeah, those two really stood out.
Yeah.
And they could genuinely shift how things are done in industrial automation over the next few years.
It almost feels like cloud PLCs might go from concept to reality pretty soon. Maybe within the next year, we'll see clearer offerings, pricing.
Things are moving fast. It feels like a really dynamic time. Lots happening.
The big unknown is still adoption speed, especially in markets like Japan. How quickly will people embrace these new ways of working?
And what about machine builders? Does a cloud PLC fundamentally change their job? Maybe not, but it offers more deployment options.
True, lots of potential to solve current bottlenecks, even if there are challenges.
Definitely. Overall, SPS 2024 was fascinating. Really enjoyed it.
Me too. Highly recommend it if control technology is your thing.
Posting 200 daily episodes. Please follow and comment.